I need you to hear this. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is crying themselves to sleep next to the person they thought would make them happy. Someone is deleting a goodbye text they spent hours writing. Someone is convincing themselves that maybe tomorrow will be different, that maybe this time the promises will be real. And if you clicked on this video, that someone might be you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That sinking feeling in your stomach when their name appears on your screen. That exhausting dance between hope and disappointment. That voice in your head screaming leave while your heart whispers, but what if? Here is something nobody talks about. The reason you cannot leave is not because you are weak. It is not because you love too much. It is not because you are stupid or naive or any of those cruel labels you have been giving yourself at 3 in the morning when you cannot sleep. The truth is far more complicated and far more liberating than you could ever imagine. What I am about to share with you will fundamentally change the way you understand love, attachment, and most importantly, yourself. By the end of this video, you will have absolute clarity on why you have been stuck in this painful cycle, and you will have the exact psychological tools to break free permanently. But I need to warn you, some of what you are about to hear will be uncomfortable. Some of it might even make you angry. But if you stay until the end, everything will finally make sense. The confusion will lift, and for the first time in what might be years, you will see a way out. So take a deep breath. We are going deep into the psychology of toxic love, and by the time we are done, you will never see your situation the same way again. Let us begin with the question that has been haunting you. Why do you stay in a relationship that causes you nothing but pain? You are not unintelligent. You can see what is happening. You have made lists of reasons to leave. You have planned your exit 100 times. Your friends are exhausted from giving you the same advice over and over. Maybe even your therapist has gently suggested that you deserve better. And yet here you are, still in it, still hoping, still hurting. Why? Most people will tell you it is because you love them too much. That is a romantic notion, but it is also completely wrong. Others will say you are being manipulated. That is partly true, but it is not the full picture. Some will suggest you are just afraid of being alone. That is a factor, but it is not the root cause. The real reason you cannot leave has nothing to do with the other person. Not really. The real reason is buried deep in your subconscious, planted there long before you ever met the person who is hurting you now. It was put there in your earliest years, when your brain was still forming its understanding of what love means, what you deserve, and what safety feels like. You are not trapped by your partner. You are trapped by a psychological pattern that was encoded into your nervous system before you were even old enough to speak. And until you understand this pattern, every attempt to leave will feel like ripping your own heart out. You might manage to walk away physically, but mentally and emotionally, you will stay tethered. You will find yourself checking their social media at midnight. You will replay conversations looking for evidence that maybe, just maybe, they really did love you. You will romanticize the good moments while minimizing the devastating bad ones. This is not weakness. This is neuroscience. And once you understand what is actually happening in your brain, you will have power over it for the first time in your life. So let us talk about attachment, not the romantic kind, the primal kind. From the moment you took your first breath, your brain had one primary mission: survival. And for a helpless infant, survival means one thing: connection. In those early months and years of life, your developing brain was like a sponge, absorbing every interaction with your caregivers and using that information to build a mental blueprint for how relationships work. This is not something you consciously remember. It happened before your brain could even form explicit memories, but it shaped everything. If you grew up with caregivers who were consistently warm, responsive, and reliable, your brain learned that relationships are safe. You developed what psychologists call secure attachment. You learned that you could trust others, that you were worthy of love, and that expressing your needs would be met with care rather than rejection. But here is where it gets painful. If your early experiences were different, if love came with conditions, if affection was unpredictable, if you had to work for attention or approval, if there was emotional volatility or neglect. Your brain learned a completely different lesson. Your brain learned that love is something you have to earn, that it can be taken away at any moment, that you are fundamentally not enough just as you are, that safety and chaos go hand in hand. And here's the truly devastating part. Your brain did not learn this as information to be analyzed and questioned. It learned this as truth, as reality, as the foundation upon which all future relationships would be built. This is why you can be with someone who treats you beautifully, who respects you, who shows up consistently, and feel absolutely nothing. No spark, no chemistry. It feels boring, almost fake. But when you meet someone who runs hot and cold, who gives you just enough hope to keep you hanging on, who makes you feel like you are constantly trying to prove yourself worthy of their love, suddenly everything feels alive. There is passion, intensity. What you mistake for love is actually your nervous system recognizing a pattern. It feels like home because it is home. It matches the blueprint your brain created all those years ago. This is not a flaw in you. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, seeking out the familiar because familiar equals safe, even when familiar is actually dangerous. But there is something even more insidious keeping you trapped. Something that functions exactly like a drug addiction. And unless you understand this mechanism, you will keep coming back no matter how many times you try to leave. Section 3. The addiction mechanism. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the most intense feelings of love and connection in your relationship happen right after the worst moments? After the fight where you were convinced it was over, suddenly they become the person you fell in love with again. After days of cold distance, there is a moment of warmth that feels like coming up for air after drowning. After they say something cruel that shatters you, they follow it with tenderness that makes you forget everything else. You probably thought these moments were proof that things can get better, that the good person is the real them, and the bad moments are just temporary phases. I am sorry to tell you this, but you have been wrong. What you have been experiencing is one of the most powerful psychological phenomena ever discovered. It is called intermittent reinforcement, and it is literally the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner conducted a series of experiments that would revolutionize our understanding of behavior. He put rats in boxes with levers. When the rats pressed the lever, they received food. Simple enough. But here is where it gets interesting. Skinner discovered that if the food came every single time the lever was pressed, the rats would eat when hungry and then lose interest. Consistent rewards led to moderate, controllable behavior. However, when he changed the pattern so that food came randomly, sometimes after one press, sometimes after 20, sometimes not at all, the rats became obsessed. They would press the lever compulsively, frantically, unable to stop, even when they were not hungry, even to the point of exhaustion. Sound familiar? Your relationship is the lever. Those moments of affection, validation, and hope are the random food pellets. And you have been pressing that lever over and over, desperate for the next reward, unable to stop even though it is destroying you. This is not a character flaw. This is neurochemistry. When rewards are unpredictable, your brain releases dopamine, not when you get the reward, but in anticipation of possibly getting it. The uncertainty itself becomes addictive. You become hooked not on the person, but on the hope. And this is why consistent love feels boring, while toxic love feels exciting. Healthy relationships do not trigger the same dopamine spikes because there is no uncertainty. The reward is predictable. Your brain does not go into that frantic seeking mode. But in a toxic relationship, you are constantly chasing, constantly hoping, constantly wondering if this will be the moment everything changes. The cruelest part of intermittent reinforcement is that it makes you accept less and less over time. In the beginning, your standards were probably higher, but every time you accepted a small violation, every time you forgave something you swore you never would, your baseline shifted. What once would have been a deal breaker became normal. You did not even notice it happening. It was gradual, like water slowly heating up until suddenly you are boiling. And there is another weapon being used against you, one that attacks your very perception of reality and makes you question your own sanity. Have you ever walked away from an argument more confused than when it started? Have you ever tried to address a problem only to somehow end up apologizing for bringing it up in the first place? Have you ever been absolutely certain about something that happened, only to have the other person insist it never occurred, making you wonder if you are losing your mind? If you answered yes to any of these, you have experienced gaslighting. And understanding this form of manipulation is essential to breaking free. Gaslighting is named after a 1944 film in which a husband deliberately manipulates his wife into believing she is going insane. He dims the gas lights in their home, and when she notices, he insists she is imagining things. Over time, she begins to question her own perception of reality entirely. This is not just a movie plot. This is a calculated strategy that toxic people use, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, to maintain control over their partners. Here is how it works in real life. You see something that concerns you. Maybe a lie was told, maybe a boundary was crossed, maybe their behavior was hurtful, so you bring it up calmly and reasonably, but instead of addressing the issue, they flip the script. Suddenly you are the problem. You are too sensitive. You are overreacting. You are always looking for something to complain about. That never happened. You are remembering it wrong. Why do you always have to create drama? At first, you might push back. You know what you experienced. But if this happens repeatedly, something insidious starts to occur. You begin to doubt yourself. You start thinking maybe they are right. Maybe you are too sensitive. Maybe you are the toxic one. You might even start apologizing for having feelings at all. This is intentional, even if the person doing it would never admit it. Because when you cannot trust your own judgment, you become completely dependent on them to define reality for you. You need them to tell you what is true. You need their validation to feel sane. Can you see how trapped this makes you? And it gets worse. Toxic partners often use projection, which means they accuse you of exactly what they are doing. If they are lying, they accuse you of dishonesty. If they are being unfaithful, they become paranoid about your faithfulness. If they are controlling, they call you manipulative. Over time, you start to internalize these accusations. You take on guilt that was never yours. You bend yourself into shapes trying to prove you are not this terrible person they have painted you to be. And all the while, the real issues go unaddressed. This is psychological warfare, and you have been fighting it with both hands tied behind your back because you did not even know it was happening. But now you know. And knowledge is the first step toward freedom. I need to pause here for a moment because what I am about to share next might be the most important part of this entire video. But before we go there, I want to ask you something directly. If this video is helping you see your situation clearly, if anything I have said so far has made you feel less alone or less crazy, then I need you to do something for me. Subscribe to this channel right now. I know that might seem like a small thing, but here is why it matters. There are thousands of people out there right now suffering in silence, convinced they are the only ones going through this, blaming themselves for not being able to leave. And every time someone subscribes, it helps this video reach one more person who desperately needs to hear this message. You know what it feels like to be trapped and confused and alone. You know how much you needed someone to explain what was happening to you. Do not let someone else go through that when you could help by simply clicking a button, hit subscribe. Do it for the person you were when you first started searching for answers. Do it for someone who is exactly where you were. Now let us continue because there is still so much you need to understand. Let me guess something about you. When you think about leaving, your first thought is not actually about them. It is about you. Specifically, it is about being alone. What if nobody else ever loves me? What if this is as good as it gets? What if I am too damaged now to find someone healthy? What if I end up regretting this for the rest of my life? These thoughts are not coming from nowhere. They have been carefully cultivated over time, both by the relationship itself and by a society that has taught you some very damaging lies about love and loneliness. From the time you were a child, you absorbed the message that being alone is the ultimate failure. Fairy tales end with happily ever after, meaning coupled. Movies treat single characters as incomplete, waiting for their real lives to begin when love arrives. Social media shows you couples celebrating anniversaries, while your single friends post self-deprecating jokes about dying alone. The message is everywhere, and it is relentless. Having someone, anyone, is better than having no one. Now take that cultural programming and add a relationship that has systematically destroyed your self-esteem. A relationship where you were made to feel lucky that they put up with you, where you were told, directly or indirectly, that no one else would want you, where every insecurity you had was identified and exploited. Of course you are afraid to leave. You have been conditioned to believe that outside this relationship, there is nothing but loneliness and proof of your unworthiness. But here is what I need you to understand. What you are calling fear of loneliness is actually something else entirely. It is withdrawal. Your nervous system has become dependent on this relationship the same way it would become dependent on a substance. The highs and lows, the unpredictability, the intense emotions, these have all triggered neurochemical patterns in your brain that now feel essential to your functioning. When you imagine leaving, you are not just imagining being without a partner. You are imagining your brain going through withdrawal. And on some level, your body knows how painful that will be. This is why people go back, not because they actually believe things will change, not because they genuinely think the relationship is good for them, but because the withdrawal is so uncomfortable that returning to the toxic dynamic actually provides relief. Think about that for a moment. The dysfunction has become the cure for its own symptoms. But just like any addiction, the withdrawal does end. The cravings do fade. And on the other side is clarity you cannot even imagine right now. There is one more thing keeping you stuck, and it might be the most painful one to address. Hope. You stay because you still believe things can get better. You hold on to the memory of who they were at the beginning, or the glimpses of that person that still appear occasionally. You think if you could just find the right words, if you could just be patient enough, if you could just love them hard enough, they will finally become the person you know they can be. I need to be honest with you now, even though this is going to hurt. They are not going to change. Not for you, not because of your love, not because you sacrificed everything. Real change does not happen because someone loves a person enough. Real change happens when someone faces the consequences of their behavior and makes an internal decision to transform. It requires self-awareness, accountability, and sustained effort over time. Has the person who is hurting you ever truly taken responsibility? Not just apologized when caught, but actually acknowledged the pattern of their behavior and taken concrete steps to change it? Have they sought professional help on their own initiative? Have they done the deep work of understanding why they treat people this way? Or have they simply promised to be better, been different for a few days or weeks, and then gradually returned to exactly the same patterns? You already know the answer. You have seen this cycle play out over and over. The promise, the brief change, the return to dysfunction, rinse and repeat. And yet you keep hoping. Because giving up hope means accepting that all the time and energy and love you invested was for nothing. It means grieving not just the relationship, but the future you imagine. It means sitting with the emptiness where all that hope used to live. I know this is devastating to hear, but consider the alternative. You can keep hoping, keep trying, keep sacrificing yourself on the altar of someone else's potential, and watch years slip by while nothing fundamentally changes. Or you can grieve now, feel the pain now, and actually have a chance at a different future. Hope is beautiful when it is attached to reality, but false hope is a prison, and you have been locked in that prison long enough. Everything I have shared with you so far has been about understanding why you are stuck. Now it is time to talk about how to actually get free. This is not going to be easy. I am not going to pretend it will be. Breaking a psychological bond this strong is one of the hardest things a human being can do. But it is possible, and you are already stronger than you realize. The first and most important step is complete disconnection. I am talking about no contact, not reduced contact, not just friends, not checking in occasionally to make sure they are okay. Zero contact. This is essential because every interaction, no matter how small, reactivates the neural pathways that keep you bonded to this person. Every text message, every social media check, every mutual friend update is like a hit of a drug for an addict trying to get clean. It sets your recovery back to zero. Block their number. Block them on every social media platform. Tell mutual friends that you do not want any information about them whatsoever. Delete photos. Remove reminders. I know this sounds extreme. I know there is a voice in your head right now coming up with reasons why complete no contact is not possible or necessary in your situation. That voice is the addiction talking. Do not trust it. You might think you need closure. Let me tell you something important. Closure is a myth. You already have all the information you need. The relationship showed you who they are. No final conversation is going to give you peace. It is just going to give you more material to analyze, more hope to hold on to, more reasons to stay connected. Cut the cord completely. The second step is enduring the withdrawal without relapsing. In the days and weeks after you disconnect, you are going to feel awful. Your brain is going to scream at you to go back. You will remember only the good times. You will minimize the pain. You will convince yourself that you made a mistake, that it was not that bad, that you overreacted. This is not truth. This is your brain in withdrawal, desperately seeking its familiar source of neurochemical stimulation. Here is what you do. You write a letter to yourself before you leave. In this letter, you describe in detail the worst moments of the relationship, the times you cried yourself to sleep, the times you felt worthless, the things they said that shattered you, the specific behaviors that made you want to leave. When the withdrawal hits and your brain starts rewriting history, you read that letter. You remind yourself of the reality, not the fantasy. You also fill the void with other things. Exercise, which provides natural dopamine. Time with friends who actually make you feel good about yourself. New experiences, creative projects, anything that redirects your brain's seeking behavior toward healthy rewards. And when you feel the urge to reach out, you wait. Set a timer for 24 hours. Tell yourself you can contact them tomorrow if you still want to. Almost every time the urge will pass. The third step is rebuilding your identity. Toxic relationships do not just hurt you, they erase you. Over time, you lost touch with who you were before. Your hobbies, your friendships, your dreams, your sense of self. All of it got absorbed into the relationship, leaving behind only the version of you that existed in relation to them. Now you have to rediscover yourself. And this is actually the most exciting part, even if it does not feel that way yet. Ask yourself these questions. What did I enjoy before this relationship? What friendships did I neglect? What dreams did I put on hold? What parts of myself did I hide or suppress to make this relationship work? Start there. Reconnect with the person you were before they came into your life, and then go further. Explore who you want to become now that you are free. This is not just recovery, this is reinvention. We are nearing the end of this journey together, and I need to tell you the most important thing of all. Every single thing you learned in this video, the attachment patterns, the intermittent reinforcement, the gaslighting, the fear of loneliness, the false hope, none of it matters if you do not make one fundamental decision. You have to choose yourself, not halfway, not when it is convenient, not after you give them one more chance. Now. I know that little voice is still there, the one that says maybe you are exaggerating. Maybe it is not that bad. Maybe they will finally change this time. Maybe you will never find anyone else. That voice is not your intuition. That voice is the programming of trauma. That voice is the addiction. That voice is everything that has kept you trapped, pretending to be your friend while leading you back to prison. The truth is, nobody is coming to rescue you. There is no perfect moment. There is no sign from the universe. There is just you and this decision and the courage to finally put yourself first. I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself 1 year from now. Actually close your eyes and do this. In one version of the future, you stayed. You gave it one more chance, and another, and another. Where are you? How do you feel? What has been lost that can never be recovered? Now picture the other version. You left. You did the hard work of healing. You rebuilt yourself from the ground up. Where are you now? What possibilities have opened up? Who have you become? You already know which future you want. The only question is whether you have the courage to choose it. Before I give you my final words, I need to ask you one more time. If this video has helped you at all, if it has given you even a moment of clarity or hope, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. And I am not just saying that because I want more subscribers. I am saying it because I know what you are going through. I know how easy it is to watch a video like this, feel inspired for a moment, and then slip back into old patterns tomorrow. When you subscribe, you are making a commitment to yourself. You are saying, I am going to keep learning. I am going to keep growing. I am not going to let myself forget what I learned today. Every video notification you get will be a reminder that you chose a different path, that you chose yourself. So do not scroll away without subscribing. Do it now. Do it as an act of self-care. Do it because the person you want to become deserves that small commitment. Here's the truth that took me too long to learn. Leaving is not the end of love. Leaving is the beginning of it, the real kind, the kind you give yourself. You have spent so long pouring love into someone who could not receive it properly, who used it to control you, who gave you crumbs and made you feel grateful. You have so much love to give, but you have been giving it to the wrong person. That love belongs to you, not in a selfish way, in a survival way, in a you deserve to be treated the way you treat others way. The first few days after you leave will be hard, maybe the hardest thing you have ever done. You will feel empty. You will feel like you made a mistake. Every cell in your body will want to go back. But if you can hold on, if you can ride out the withdrawal, something miraculous happens. The fog lifts. You start to see clearly for the first time in months or years. You realize that what you thought was love was actually just fear and habit and neurochemistry. You remember who you were before. You start to imagine who you could become. And one morning you wake up and realize you did not think about them first thing. You went hours without the familiar ache. The grip has loosened. You are free. That morning is coming, I promise you. But you have to take the first step. No more excuses. No more one more chances. No more tomorrow. Today, you choose yourself today. Now I want to hear from you. What part of this video hit you the hardest? What finally made something click? Leave a comment below, not just for me, but for the next person who watches this video and needs to see that they are not alone. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to finally make their own choice. And when you are done with that comment, watch the next video. Your healing journey is just beginning, and you cannot afford to stop now. The next video will take you even deeper into understanding yourself and building the life you actually deserve. You made it this far. Keep going. You are closer to freedom than you have ever been.